Arsenal just about managed to get the job done against Porto and get through to the quarter-finals. A game that ended 1-0 after 120 minutes. Saw us go to a penalty shootout where Arsenal were phenomenal in the shootout, both in terms of obviously striking the penalties and David Raya in between the sticks putting off 2 immense saves to get us through to the quarter-finals. And look, this is, if you saw my preview, I was just all about just get through and make sure come Friday we're in that quarter-final draw. Because I do honestly believe if we did get knocked out, there would have been some serious questions around the team, the players and Mikel Arteta. But thankfully, we got over the line. And look, it doesn't matter how you get over the line in these knockout games, just get through. And thankfully, we did. And look, let's talk about the game. It was a game that, to be honest, lacked a lot of quality. It was a very stingy game. No team really giving up much. I thought Porto started the game really well. The game started in a way I don't think many people expected. Porto was on the ball. They were pushing us further back. They were controlling the game. You know, just took the sting out of the atmosphere and the tempo straight away. And I think Arsenal took a little while to react to that. We didn't really get going the whole game, to be honest. It was a bit of a hard watch, in all honesty, the game. And I do think a big part of it is due to the lack of experience in the Champions League. Maybe a little bit of nerves, knowing that we have to get, you know, that if we lose, it will be disastrous. And I think, you know, it felt like that. But however, I do think the players will take a hell of a lot from an experience like this. And hopefully it puts us in better stead moving forward in the competition this year and in future years. But yeah, it was, you know, a game Arsenal knew what they had to do. Obviously, we lost 1-0 in Porto to a last-second goal. We had to win by 2 goals in 90 minutes to kill the tie in 90. But we didn't manage to do that. But we did manage to get a goal back in the first half through Leandro Trossard, which, you know, was really, really important. Because I do think if it had got to 70, 80 minutes and it was still 0-0, I think the boys might have struggled getting through. So I think we would have got desperate. We would have left a lot of gaps on the break. And Porto would have just soaked it up. So to get that goal was very important. And even though Leandro Trossard scored the goal, all the credit in the world has to go to Martin Odegaard. What a bit of play from him. And I've got to be honest, I thought he was by far our best player on the night. He was fantastic. A real leader's performance. He was, you know, he demanded the ball and he was the one trying to make things happen. And, you know, he gets the ball, gets it towards the left, which is kind of weird because we normally see him in that right sort of channel. And he just takes his time, draws a couple of players out and just slips a brilliant through ball to Leandro Trossard. Who, you know, puts Leandro Trossard in the box. All he's got to do is get his first touch right and strike it. And to be fair to Trossard, he did. Got it out of his feet, put it through Pepe's legs into the far corner around the 41st minute. And that put us right back in the game. And then from then, we was really in control. And, you know, you could have been forgiven for thinking that from then Arsenal would kick on and maybe in the second half take the game away from Porto. But look, credit to Porto. I thought Porto would play brilliantly over the 2 legs. They really tactically got it right. They're one of them really fucking annoying teams who you don't really want to play. You know, they're so good at drawing silly little fouls and conning the ref. To be fair, the ref had a good game. He didn't buy a lot of them, but they are good at that. They're good at just taking the sting out of things. They defended. I mean, I think over the course of the tie, Arsenal had around 20-odd corners and we didn't really get a chance from any of them. I don't remember us really getting a shot on goal from a corner. And obviously in the Premier League, Arsenal are by far and away the best at set pieces in the league. So fair play to Porto. I thought they played really, really well. Were very stubborn, stuck in, and they managed to take us all the way through to extra time. But before extra time, the one thing I did find very confusing in the game was the lack of subs. We had a brilliant bench for the first time in a while. You know, Tomiyasu was back, Zinchenko was back. Jesus was on there, Vieira, Smith Rowe, Nketiah, Nelson. And it was very clear, did I say party as well? It was very, very clear that, you know, some of the players were struggling. Like, they were really fatigued, especially Jorginho. I think after, like, the 70th minute, Jorginho was pretty much done. And it took until the 80th minute for Arteta to replace him. Yeah, obviously, we started the game, I've got to mention, with the same team that we played against Brentford. So Jorginho was in midfield, Havertz up front, Trossard to the left, which would, you know, probably the most questionable positions in the team. Kivior did also start at left back, and the rest of the team would be sort of as you expect. But yeah, around the 70th, 75th minute, you know, we were sort of trying to press. And the minute they got out of our press and turned Jorginho, he was done. He could not get back. He was absolutely blown. Absolutely blown, the geezer. And I was so shocked that he didn't bring Partey on or Jesus on earlier. But it took till the 80th minute for him to bring Jesus on. He made one sub in 90, and I found that very, very strange. Sorry, my tea's getting cold. And I did find that very strange. But then, you know, we made some more subs in the second half of extra time. Nketiah and who else was it? Zinchenko come on. And again, I think he only made... Were they the only subs he made? He only made like 3 subs out of 5. And I found that quite confusing considering the players that we did have on the bench. But who else? No, he must have brought someone else on. No, he didn't, I don't think. Yeah, crazy, really. And that was a little bit weird from Arteta. I didn't really understand it. But look, he got it right in the end. I suppose in a way he wanted to keep some of the players on that he knew were good for pens. The likes of Havertz and Saka, who Saka had probably the worst game he's ever had in an Arsenal shirt. Odegaard, etc. But look, we got it to pens, and then from pens, you know, it is a nervous game. It's anyone's game at that point. Odegaard managed to win both tosses in the coin toss to pick which end we're going to take the pens and whether to kick first or not. So we did kick towards the North Bank, towards the Arsenal fans, and we did get the first kick. And, you know, the captain himself, Odegaard, started it off. Put a lovely penalty to his right, goalkeeper's left. And I was saying to my brother before the pen, he has to go this way. Because every pen he's done this season, he's put bottom left, keeper's bottom right. And obviously the goalkeepers are going to know that. They all do their research. And he did put it to his right, and the keeper did dive to the keeper's right. So it was just a brilliantly placed penalty. Then they scored their first one. And then Saka, was it Saka? No, Saka didn't go second, did he? He went second. Havertz scored the second penalty. Brilliant penalty from Havertz as well. Havertz is actually a very good penalty taker. But I don't know his exact record, but I believe he's only missed one in his professional career. But then Wendell took one from Porto, who had a brilliant game at left-back up against Saka. Completely locked Saka up. And he took his pen, and Raya managed to get fingertips onto it to push it onto the post. It's actually come off the post and hit Raya in the back of the leg. So he's lucky it didn't deflect in. So yeah, brilliant save from Raya. And then we scored our next 2 from Saka and Declan Rice. And then Raya manages to save their penalty that they absolutely had to score. I can't remember his name. Galeno, is it? Who scored in the reverse fixture, took the penalty, and David Raya managed to save it. And look, we went through, and that's the most important thing. But it was a very nervy, cagey performance on the night. And I think it is... I think what these 2 games have showed is the lack of experience in the Champions League and how tough it really can be. And how annoying some of these bastard teams in Europe can be. But look, the most important thing, we had to get through, and we did. And now we're looking at a quarter-final double-legged fixture against a really massive European giant. You look at the teams who's going to be in there. There's still Inter and Atletico who are facing each other tonight. So one of them 2 will go through. Inter are 1 up, but they've got to go to Atletico's home ground. So Atletico will still have a lot to say in that game. And then one of Dortmund or PSV. It looks like Dortmund are going to go through in that one. So, you know, you look at the potential teams we could face. It'll be Dortmund, Inter or Atletico, Bayern Munich. Who else is there? Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Manchester City, who I really don't want. And is there someone else I'm missing? Who else am I missing? Because there'll be Arsenal and... Who else am I missing? I don't know. There's someone else I'm missing who I can't think of right now. Inter Milan or Atletico Madrid. Barcelona, Real Madrid. Oh, PSG. So yeah. It's going to be a tough quarter-final, and the draw will be on Friday, and we'll see who we get. Personally, if it was me, I would want... Well, I'd want Dortmund, or if not, I would take Barcelona or PSG, because I think that those will be very, very tough games. All of them will be tough, but I think they'll be the ones we have most chance of winning. But yeah, just speaking a little bit more on the game, just a couple of players I think we need to speak about. Martin Odegaard, I thought was brilliant on the day. Probably the best player on the pitch, or was the best player on the pitch in the 120 minutes. I mean, even in extra time, he's still pressing like a madman. The fitness levels of this guy is unbelievable. Like, I remember people saying that Jesus is like the best pressing forward in Europe, but Martin Odegaard has to be the best pressing midfielder, surely. Maybe like Conor Gallagher as well, who's got an absolute engine on him. But Martin Odegaard, he was brilliant. He was good on the ball. I just don't think we got the ball to him enough. Like I said, it was a game where we lacked a lot of quality. Got to big up David Raya for the penalty saves. And I thought Jakub Kiwior had a decent game at left-back as well. But unfortunately, someone who didn't have a good game was Bukayo Saka, and he had a real stinker. He stunk the place up. He did not play well at all. But look, he still scored his penalty in the shootout. And you know what? He's been arguably our best player for about 3-4 years. So I think we can let him off a few games here and there as long as we still go through. But yeah, the draw will be on Friday, and we'll see who we get. But yeah, let's just go into my player ratings quickly. Unfortunately, there's not much to talk about in this video due to sort of lack of action. Oh, actually, no, one thing we can talk about was the Porto manager and the little bit of a kick-off after the game. And he's come out saying that Arteta insulted his family or something. Look, I mean, I think that Porto manager was talking a lot of shit from the first game. And I think he's just rattled that he went out, to be honest. I hope Arteta didn't slag off his family. Maybe he called his son shit, who was playing on the day and didn't play very well. But yeah, so there was a little bit of beef after the game. You saw Trossard getting involved, which did make me laugh. And then Gabriel coming over to help him. Didn't really know what happened, but it was a real feisty, good two-legged game. And I've got to give Porto a lot of credit because they really frustrated the life out of us. And it was so good to knock them fuckers out, man. Because don't get me wrong, as well as they played, I hate teams like that. They're a bit anti-football, and we managed to get past them. Big lesson for this team, because they're going to have to deal with that in the future. So this is why if Atletico go through tonight, for example, I don't really want them. I wouldn't really want Inter, but I'll take Inter. But yeah, I can't wait for the draw. Really cannot wait. I'm so excited to see, because they draw for the quarterfinals and the semis, don't they? So you see sort of a route what you might get and what your sort of chances are of making it to the final. So hopefully we get on the right side of the draw. And like I said, the main team I want to really avoid is Manchester City, because I don't think we can beat them over 2 legs. You know, let's just say get on the other side of the draw and hope you can make it to the final. And if you play them at Wembley, so be it. But hopefully, you know, they draw like Real Madrid or Bayern, and then one of them two go out. And then whoever doesn't play out of them 3, they play in the semi-final, and we can just have a little bit of a decent run there. But let's see. Player ratings. David Raya. In 120 minutes, I thought he was pretty faultless. Claimed everything. Saved what he needed to. His kicking was good. And then he saved 2 penalties in the shootout. Bit disappointed not to save 3. As he was saying in his sort of like post-match interview, which I thought he's been a bit harsh on himself, because the other pen he nearly saved was actually a very good pen, and the fact he got hands to it was very good. But look, for that performance alone, clean sheet in 120 minutes and saving 2 pens in the shootout, has to be a 10. And I've got to give him my joint man of the match for that reason. So David Raya, 10 out of 10 performance. Absolutely brilliant. Right back, Ben White. I'll be honest, I don't think a lot of the players had great games. Ben White was okay, definitely wasn't the worst player. Didn't really do too much, but he did do a lot of intercepting the balls at crucial times when they were breaking and stuff. Didn't do much on like the overlaps and the crosses, etc. That we're kind of used to seeing from him. But overall, solid enough game. 7. I'll give him a 7. Saliba and Gabriel, again, I kind of always rate these two together, don't I? As a very, very similar performance. Didn't think that they were great. They were giving away some shit passes. Saliba got booked quite early. But they still didn't give too much away. And, you know, we didn't concede. So I'll give them two probably a 6. Kiwior, like I said, I thought had a very decent game. You know, was quite defensively solid. He had a couple of moments where, you know, the winger got past him or whatever. And I think he was a bit tired towards the end. But overall, I think he had a good game. I'll give him an 8. Declan Rice, not his best. Probably one of his most quiet games in an Arsenal shirt. Probably give him a 6. Jorginho, probably the same, a 6. Martin Odegaard, I thought was the best outfield player on the pitch for 120 minutes. And even though I said I've given David Raya a joint man of the match with Odegaard, I can't exactly give Odegaard a 10. But I'll give him a 9. But he's my man of the match within 120 minutes. And David Raya pips the man of the match overall due to the penalty shootout. But Martin Odegaard gets a solid 9 from me. I thought he was brilliant. He created the goal. Unluckily, had one ruled out from a foul on Kai Havertz. Probably was a foul, to be fair. But I thought he was really, really good, Odegaard. Real captain's performance, and it was really good to see. If he could just get more consistent in terms of putting the numbers up, there'll be no debate over how good this guy is. Because I think he is he's that close to being world class, in my opinion. He is fucking phenomenal. Bukayo Saka, shocker, had a really bad game, but still scored a very important penalty in the shootout. I'll give him a 5. Trossard, I didn't think played all that well. I just don't think Trossard's a winger, personally. I really don't. I don't think he does well on the left wing. I don't think he's quick enough to be a left winger in this Arsenal system. I think he's a brilliant false 9. I think he's absolutely fantastic as a false 9. But yeah, he didn't have the best game, but scored a fucking massive goal in our season. The 11th goal he scored this season. So for that reason, I've just got to bump him up to a 7. Kai Havertz didn't do too much in terms of the ball, but I don't know what it is. There's just something about Kai Havertz you can't help but like him. And he's a right horrible little bastard. You know, there's one point in the second half. Was it the second half? Well, no, I think it might have been first half of extra time. I can't remember. Ball's gone over near their manager. He's touched it off the pitch because I think that he was already off, and he's pushed the Porto manager, and then he sort of walked off innocently like he didn't do anything, got himself out of trouble. I just like that. He has them dark arts, you know. He tried to do a little sly foul on Pepe when the ball ended up falling to Odegaard, and Odegaard scored, but unfortunately it got ruled out. But didn't do too much on the ball, but I like the fact that he was always around it, and his fitness levels were brilliant. Went from playing the striker role to the midfield role, was getting stuck in, challenging for headers, winning flick-ons. Just nothing really fell for Arsenal too much in the game, so I'll give Kai Havertz a 7. Subs didn't really do much to be judged, to be honest with you. But look, the most important thing is we got through, and big up David Raya and Martin Odegaard. And yeah, now we move on to Friday and we see who we get in the draw. I'll be doing a video Friday reacting to it. Hopefully it's a good draw for us. Like I said, give me Dortmund, Barca, or maybe PSG. And then I fancy us. And then in the next round, out of the 3 big teams you want to sort of avoid, I'll take Bayern out of the 3. But let's see. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the game and who you want in the next round. And we'll see what Friday brings. Take care. Bye-bye.